All right, number 5, let's get into it. So 5, again, we've talked from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as we've moved through that, we've gotten a little bit more complex, right? We just had 1, what is it, the thing we're talking about? What's the world? 2, okay, now we have this whole essence of opposites. What's the energy like? What's the matter like? 3, we have upper, middle, lower. What's the top thing? What's the low thing? How's it communicating back and forth? 4, we have how does energy flow through these things? 5, and again, we can open up any of these principles infinitely. This is for everything. You will start to see this and realize this is everything. 5 is going to be from 4 to 5. So 4 is going to be an energetic thing. We've had 1 to 2 to 3. 3 is going out to 4. And then 5 is going to be here. So we're moving from an energetic concept to a matter concept. So this is how we can understand how things physically show up. So we have the seasons turning into the elements. So winter, I'm just going to write this and then kind of erase it and rearrange it. So winter is going to become water. Spring is going to become wood. Summer is going to become fire. And fall is going to become metal. But Jacob, I thought this was 5. There's only 4 there. Well, we have all this happening around Earth. Okay? So we can look at the seasons from this kind of point of view. We had the spring happening, we had the summer happening, we had the fall happening, we had the winter happening, and it happened all around the Earth, right? Where I am, it's not very cold out right now, but we're actually in winter. On the opposite side of the planet, it's going to be a different timing, northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere, right? So all of this is happening, and technically it's all happening at the same time, right? Where it's winter in one place, on the other side of the planet, it's summer, but they're happening at the same time. So again, you have these opposites creating life. But we perceive time linearly. So where we are, we can see these things. So we're gonna take this out, and this is how we can look at these images in the elemental form. And now we're gonna take it and we're gonna rearrange it so that we can work with it. So we're erasing this whole guy, hopefully cleanly. Maybe not as cleanly, but you know, c'est la vie. So now we're gonna take wood here, take our elements here, and we're gonna move our water down here. And now, here's one thing, right? I had Earth here in the middle, and our before perspective was kind of looking at it, seeing it all happen, like looking at space and looking down and seeing everything happen. So now we're gonna step on Earth, and we're gonna see it from this point of view. How do these things interact with each other? How does wood interact with fire? How does water interact with fire? Etc. So I'm gonna take this guy, I'm gonna move it over here. Okay? And then, remember we had metal, so I'm gonna have metal there. Now this is the way these energies interact. Okay? We're gonna just go through it pretty quick because this is opening a huge world, okay? So I don't want to get not locked down to anything. So our water is going to be it's going to show up as a wave. So each of these is going to have a yin and a yang. It's going to have what we perceive with the senses and an energy that makes it alive. So what we perceive with the senses is the wave of water. You literally see the wave. And what makes it alive is not going to be this marker, I'll tell you that much. Is going to be pressure. And again, like I said before, I talked about words being exact things. These are essences. So literally look at water and get involved with whatever the heck water is. This is just going to be me giving you these words to understand principles, but really being alive with the thing is what's going to help you understand more of what it is. Like this finger. What is it anatomically? It's a finger. Okay, what is it directionally? Well, it's up. Okay, what is this numerically? Well, it's 1. It can be different things. So is it a finger? Sometimes. Is it a direction? Sometimes. So these names, don't get too caught in the names, but for me to get something across to you, I need to give you some sort of principle idea to start. So, water, pressure. Yeah, literally you can jump off a cliff into water and not die most of the time. Wood is going to be expansion. I'll spell it right this time. Expansion. So you see the wood shape, the rod shape, but the energy that makes it alive is expansion. If you look at the trees out there, they are expanding up with the branches. They are expanding down with the roots. This is the energy of wood. The energy of fire is to draw in. We'll say cling as well. So if you have fire, it is clinging on to its fuel, right? It's drawing in, and the shape that you see is the triangle. So again, with my bicep analogy, I'm drawing in, a triangle appears. Drawing in, triangle appears. I'm creating a wood action, I'm expanding, an expansion shape appears, the rod. Now, earth, what you see is the earth. You see the square, right? The building I'm in has a bunch of squares. It's a sturdy shape. And like what we talked about earlier with upper, middle, lower, earth is typically going to be the middle. Again, we moved it out here from the middle. Everything happens through earth. So earth channels. Even in the soil, right? The soil facilitates things growing, being alive. I'm using the facilitation of this camera to get my information across to you eventually in whatever you're viewing me on. There's this me, and then there's the thing that facilitates that in between. So this earth is going to show up as a square. If I have a posture that's all bent up, I'm not going to have great communication. If it's more squared up, I'm most likely going to have at least the possibility, the capability of channeling energy through this area. Kind of like a hose. If you kink it, it doesn't have the great earth element because the channel is poor. You unkink it, energy can flow through. So metal, moving on to metal. And again, I wrote it in purple. The actual color is going to be white. So these colors are actually accurate as well. So metal, the energy is going to be spiraling, or refining. These are going to be yang elements. These are things that we can see. I can see the wood outside. I can see the timber. I can see fire. As we move towards these more yin elements, these are things that we can't perceive with the senses as well. This makes metal and water just a little bit kind of challenging. We can understand water pretty well, but water can also be like sound waves as well, not just water, the physical splashy thing we drink. So back to metal. Metal is going to be this refining element. So metal is like the magnetism, like the way the earth rotates. If I'm making this punching action, there's going to be actually this little rotation happening. It's a refinement. It's a patient coming into you and giving you all these symptoms of what they have, blah, 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 blah. And then the doctor refining what that means into something to take action to. So it's a refining movement. The way these interact, I'm going to use gold, is metal generates water. Water generates wood. Wood generates fire. Fire generates earth. Earth generates metal. We can get into that in conversation. Here we'll go with the counterbalances. Water counterbalances fire. Earth, so water puts out fire. Earth counterbalances, wood counterbalances earth. Wood penetrates earth, keeps it still, right? Fire counterbalances metal, fire melts metal. And metal counterbalances wood, metal cuts wood. So we can start to figure out what these things are, figure out what the essences of these things are. Again, this is always a circle, this is always a whole thing. We can start to play with what elements do we need more of. Like I said earlier, somebody's talking, and the doctor is refining that. Well, if you're always talking, this is kind of an expansion, expressions. We could even say expression. It's an expansion of. So if somebody's just always expressing, maybe they need a little bit more metal, a little bit more refining. What are you actually trying to say? Try to refine, what is this person trying to say? So we can get into this a little bit more in detail, but later. But we have water is pressure, wood is expansion, fire is drawing in or cleaning, earth is the channel, and metal is the spiraling or refining. We'll check my time here, see if we can put time. We're just gonna go ham and do time. So we've looked at things in a matter form in this area. Since I've said before that all things follow these sort of principles, you'll see all these things. All of the things that we explain will also fall in the principles. So this is a yin way to look at things. This is a way to see things and how they physically exist in our ability to sense. So it's a matter thing, something we can touch. Now we need to understand that there's also a way that this moves energetically, in a way that we can't quite perceive as well. So we're going to take this and we're going to move it and we're going to create it in a little bit different of a formation. Oh, I'm sorry, I left out earth channels water. So earth counterbalances water, right? Like a river. You have the channeling. You have the earth that houses the water to go through. So we're going to take all this and we're going to move it into this diagram. And this is going to be, try to put my things here. This is going to be how time works. And you're going to recognize this one too. This is time. Okay? And when I say time, you can think about this in time and watch these shapes form, but we can also think about this is the way energy moves. So when I say time, I also mean energy. The energy is going to move from the highest thing, okay, fire. Then the energy is going to go lower into wood. And wood, then that energy is going to go into earth. And that energy is going to go into metal. That energy is going to go into water. And it's going to come back up through earth and make this cycle again. So we could even think, when I say the energy is going down, I could also say the energy is going in. We see the fire, we see the wood, and then it goes into earth. And then it's in the metal of the earth. It's in the magnetism of the earth. And then in this primordial, splashy thing, water. So this deep thing, and then it goes, the water nourishes the earth, right? And then things come to life and they come back up and they go through. So that's our infinity sign, right? Time. And so this arrangement is also basically how this arrangement kind of was before. I'm just going to draw it in this green because I am. We had that one before, right, with the seasons. We can do the same thing. We can kind of put that same image. And there's our time again. So, and we'll put this here. Time / energy. And this is space. What we can see and perceive, how it interacts when we're standing on the planet looking around, how these things interact together. And this is how it's happening energetically. So that's a big one, right? So there's your elements. There's your 1 through 5 and how they interact. Now this is super big, all right? So I encourage you to just build your skill of noticing. Literally look around and start to pick out what are these things. We can refine what these things are later, but these are basic principles. We can find something showing up in one space. Say something's always clinging. Okay, it's clinging too much. How can we counterbalance it? How can we create some pressure to where it then expands? So we can get really creative with this, but this is going to be the principles, the kind of just brass tacks principles of these elements and how they express everywhere. So build your skill of noticing, and good work working all through this. Hopefully this blows your mind a little bit and gives you a lot to think about and work with. So thank you so much for letting me teach you, and try to put this stuff to work. Try to notice it. It will change how you see everything. Take care.